we're rolling. Well, it's been a long time. It's been a couple months since we've done this. It's been busy. It's been a busy couple of weeks working on some junk. But there's so much going on that we have to talk about it. So tonight, we're going to be talking about the Xbox Festival, Overwatch 2, Epic acquiring photogrammetry scan library, some Pokemon, and some Stadia. So, there's a lot to cover going. A lot of things are happening now that it's approaching the holiday season. So Stadia, they're coming out, and they've got their launch lineup revealed. Have you seen that list yet?
Yeah, I seen it. I put it on the document.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just messing. But I feel like they had 12 games on their launch list, and then they had another list of games that were supposed to come out by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, what do you think of that list?
Well, it's a pretty decent.
It look like
It's got a lot of AAA titles on there. You've got Red Dead 2, Mortal Kombat, Destiny, obviously, Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, and then later we're going to be getting some Ghost Recon, NBA 2K20, Wolfenstein, Borderlands, Dragon Ball. You can't have a console without Dragon Ball. So it's a pretty good lineup, I would say. It kind of shows that there's a lot of support there to bring over a lot of these third-party titles, which is kind of cool. You get a lot of these.
They kind of need it.
They do.
Really, any first party.
Yeah. That's the thing that
as somebody who is going to be doing the trial for Stadia, do you feel like this is a list that makes it an enticing proposition for you, or do you feel like you're gonna stick with just doing the trial at the moment?
That's a good question. Any of these games, I don't know if I would buy any of these games, because a lot of them I've already purchased on the PlayStation. And then the other ones, I'm not really interested in. I know at the trial that Destiny 2 will be available, and that's actually something that I'm most excited about, because having that higher frame rate, I think, will really help me enjoy that game a lot more, because I'm a turd when it comes to lower FPS games. So I know it struggles to reach the 60 frames per second. On the PlayStation. I do have it on PC, and that runs way better. But I think running on Stadia actually might be the best performance that I could get. And it's a game that I want to play, but since I get nauseous with the low frame rates, that's enticing. But I don't know. So far, I'm looking at this list, and I'm going, I've got most of these on PlayStation. I wouldn't re-buy them on Stadia. I think for me, I'm more interested in maybe smaller titles, something that I can test Stadia with, because I don't want to drop $60 on Red Dead 2 to see whether or not I like Stadia. So I don't know. I haven't played a Tomb Raider game for like 2 decades, so I don't find myself itching to buy that, and I don't really care much for Assassin's Creed. Might catch a lot of hate for that, but their games, I think the quality of those games have kind of gone downhill. Everything else is just, I don't know. What I'm interested to see is Stadia's exclusive titles, and we've talked quite a bit about that on our channel. They did mention that they're going to be creating their first party titles, and I think that that's really going to save Stadia.
I don't know. They haven't really talked much about what they're going to be doing in terms of first-party stuff. They don't have made any like real announcements, have they?
The only thing that they've done is when they first announced Stadia, they mentioned that they are creating a game studio and that they will be creating first-party content. But I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen that. You think that their lineup would include, a Stadia original on there, a game like Xbox launched with Halo, and that's one of the reasons why so many people bought an Xbox when it was first released, is because it had a really enticing game to buy. With Stadia, it kind of just looks like, hey, we've got some support here. We don't have anything really to bring you over other than the fact that you don't have to buy a console. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested in seeing what their exclusives look like. But yeah,
I agree.
Not been
with you. I don't think any of these games really are console sellers for me.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think until there is a Stadia exclusive title on the market? Because I'm thinking if they're just starting to develop exclusive titles within the last year or so, then we could probably have another year minimum to wait for any sort of Stadia exclusive AAA title. It may be different if they do some sort of indie or small game, but they may have also started their studio, 2 or 3 years ago, and will have an exclusive title dropping in the next 6 months or something. Right. We haven't seen or heard anything like that, and so it makes me question whether that's the case or not. But if we've got to wait a year plus for a Stadia exclusive title, I don't know if that's really going to help their cause getting new players.
I agree. And since we haven't heard anything, like they haven't shown even a title of an exclusive game, I think you're right. I think it might be a year out. Maybe we'll see a presence at E3 and they'll show 2 or 3 titles that are in development that probably won't be released until 2021. But since it's just been radio silence, I don't think we can expect anything from Stadia anytime soon. And I really think that that's the reason why people buy consoles are the exclusives, because I can buy NBA 2K20 on any console. Why would I want to buy it on Stadia? So,
yeah, there are a lot of people who want to be early adopters. They want to try new technology. They don't like buying physical media. I mean, there's lots of reasons. In terms of a mass market product, I'm still not sure what Stadia's appeal is to the gamer. The gamer in me.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless you're some kind of on-the-go PC gamer where you can just have a laptop that doesn't have to be all specced out and you can play on the go, I could see that being appealing. I know sometimes when I'm traveling, I'll take my Switch, but sometimes, I wish I was getting a little bit more out of it. I mean, maybe that's where the appeal comes from. Maybe I could buy Rocket League or something on Stadia and play that when I'm traveling at a hotel or something on my PC without having to have a gaming laptop. I don't know. It just kind of seems, they had this whole gimmick that was really interesting. I kind of felt like it was the only console that could really compete with Switch at the moment, because you could play it on your phone anywhere. Obviously, you'd want to have a good connection with your LTE, and we don't even know what that's going to be like, what experience. And that's something that we're going to have to wait until it's released to see if that's even going to be a possibility. They say that it will, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about Stadia.
Interesting. But tell me, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Mr. Mime.
Mr. Mime.
Mr. Mime. No, I don't know, dude. Favorite Pokemon? Growing up, it used to be Raichu. I always thought it was cool that Pikachu had an evolved version that we never really saw much of.
You thought it was cool that he had an evolved version, but that he chose not to evolve?
Yeah. Well, it was that it was that Pokemon that you never really saw, and it wasn't really that popular, but he was like the evolved version of the most popular Pokemon, which I always thought was kind of interesting. That you think that he'd be a little bit more popular, but he wasn't. So I always kind of thought that was cool.
I'm pretty sure there was a gym leader.
Yeah, Surge.
That had a Raichu.
Yeah, that was like the only time when we watched the cartoon. He was the only one that had him.
That's funny that you like Raichu. I loved Jolteon, so we both liked electric types.
That's what I'm talking about,
dude.
Man.
There's a good chance that your favorite Pokemon, Mr. Mime or Jinx, may not be in Pokemon Sword and Shield's Pokedex.
Yeah, apparently they're not porting over all of the Pokemon, which it's kind of crazy. What was the last Pokemon game I played? I played one and there was like close to 1,000 Pokemon, and I was like, gee whiz, man. But it's kind of interesting because you think being the first console Pokemon game, like actual Pokemon game, that they would use all of the power of the Switch and include it. And to me, it kind of sounds like they've been we're a little lazy, not including all of the Pokemon.
Hard to say. I believe Game Freak's talking point was that they wanted to release a game that had better quality rather than rush it and put it out with less quality. So because they were recreating all of the Pokemon, they wanted to focus on just recreating models for some,
right?
And instead of rushing to make all of them sort of half baked,
right?
That was what they said. That was their excuse. For not including the global Pokedex, the national Pokedex, which, like you said, is quite expansive. I couldn't even. I mean, I'm a Gen 1 guy basically only. I've played Emerald, but I've basically played Red, Blue, Yellow. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know most of the monsters on the roster these days.
Me either.
But there's a lot, and people have their favorites. They want to bring them into this awesome new 3D world that they're building on Switch, and they may not be able to. So, I don't know. What do you?
Well, did you?
What do you think that's going to diminish the some of these fans who found out that their Caterpie isn't going to be in the game?
I do, and I don't know if you heard, but today there was trending on Twitter. There was a hashtag Game Freak lied, because apparently, I guess some like hacker or somebody went in and they're looking at the models of the Pokemon from previous versions and to the new version, and they look identical. So Game Freak was saying that, hey, we're not going to include them all because we want the quality over the quantity, or quality over, not rushing a product. But someone hacked in, and it looks like that the renders of the model are exactly the same. And this just came out a couple hours ago, which I think is kind of nuts, because it kind of sounds like, well, we don't know, I guess, right? First of all, who's this guy who found these renders, and is it anything? But it's kind of interesting. I don't know. With Pokemon's resources, they are the world's largest franchise of all time, beating out Star Wars, beating out all Marvel movies and everything. They're the largest franchise. You think that they would put everything into this next game, which is supposed to be like the next big thing for the company. I don't know. I think a lot of people apparently on Twitter are freaking out about this, and I think a lot of people are upset that not all the Pokemon are going to be in it, especially since Pokemon first announced this. Has it been 3 years now? I think it was 3. Was it 2016 E3 we got the announcement that they were working on Pokemon?
couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
But
everyone's just always mad.
Mad. I think that this will have an effect on. I think this will have an effect on the franchise with the fans.
Right.
It's definitely sort of a big blunder, and I don't know how it's going to pan out and how they're going to remedy.
Yeah.
Consider this idea. Maybe the way that they built Pokemon Sword and Shield for Switch doesn't allow for them to have the National Pokedex.
Maybe.
I don't know this, right? Obviously, I don't know anything about the size of the game or the assets that they're using to create it or the engine or anything like that. It may be possible that there's just too much content for them to fit it into a Switch game. I don't know if I believe that. If they're porting games like The Witcher over to Switch, I would think that they'd be able to, but it may be that game was just built and optimized so well that it, uses everything, perfectly well to run on a smaller console like Switch.
Yeah.
Just a thought is all I'm saying is that they're hardware limitations.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I picture if you can port something like Skyrim or Witcher or even Breath of the Wild on a small SD card, I have a hard time believing that Pokemon wouldn't be able to do that too. There are like 1,000+ Pokemon now, probably with this new gen of Pokemon, and I guess that's a lot to hold. I guess that could be several gigs worth of rendered models and animations for each one of them. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just too large of a game. But I'm kind of sad because I remember when they announced this, and I think I even mentioned this in a previous episode, that at the announcement, and I think it was the 2016, probably the 2017 announcement, when they were talking about the next Pokemon game, which we know is Sword and Shield. They said that they were going to do something that fans have wanted for a long time, and I was really hoping that they were going to go the MMO route, because I kind of think that would be the best opportunity for Pokemon, because Pokemon, when it was first released on Game Boy, the idea of it was that you were supposed to have this community built around you. You would take your Game Boy, and at recess you'd go find people and ask them if they had red or blue or yellow version, and then trade with Pokemon with them so that you could build up your Pokedex. It was this community thing, and that's what made it so great of a franchise, I think, is that you couldn't have all the Pokemon in a single cartridge. You had to go find someone with the opposite version and then build friendships and build a community and share secrets that you found with each other. And I think that was the beautiful thing with it. And I think in the age that we are now, you could do that exact same thing, but all online, all digital. And I feel like it's a missed opportunity. And I was hoping that that's what he meant at E3 a couple years ago when he announced it, because that's the beautiful thing about the internet. It can connect us with so many people. So many games have that functionality. And I think it would be a way unique experience if you were running around. You play the entire full game, beat all the gyms, get all the merit badges or whatever, and go about your way and beat the game. But also I think it would be really cool if you could trade with people online. And Poke MMO does this so well, where you can interact with any of the players that you see riding by on their bikes and ask them to trade, ask them to battle, and really kind of become a better Poke trainer. I think that would have been a more engaging game, I think.
Would have been cool. Is there no online features for this then?
There's some multiplayer, but it kind of seems like it's very limited. Like, you go into an arena and you kind of battle a friend, or you battle a big Pokemon with a friend. It sounds pretty lame in terms of multiplayer, which is sad because it's a Pokemon game. It's supposed to be interactive. So I don't know. I could see it too becoming an esport. I could see this becoming a very competitive esport because there are so many people who can actually do a good job at becoming poke trainers, and it would be really cool to watch these intense battles with people using their own Pokemon at high levels, trying to fight for Poke Trainer Championship. I kind of think that that's a missed opportunity in itself. It's very competitive. Why not use that to your advantage?
Maybe that's something that they can develop a program for later or something. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully it'd be cool. It kind of just seems like it's just your standard Pokemon game that we've seen since 1995, which, it's a great game and the formula works and it's addictive and I enjoy it. So it would just be nice if they mixed it up, took a chance, see how it went. Well,
I think it'll be interesting. I think reviews started coming out today. I didn't read any, but I'd like to know, world size, what people are thinking about the amended Pokedex and that sort of thing. So
yeah, that'd be nice. So I have to look at those. I haven't looked at any reviews so far, but I believe the game comes out Friday. Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really followed it that much. I haven't been too excited about this new Pokemon game. I do want to buy it, but there's a whole library of games that I'm dying to buy, and that one's not at the top of the list, so I haven't really been following it. So, speaking of games at the top of my list, Overwatch 2 was just announced last week, and there's so much going on with Overwatch and Blizzard and everything that there's just so much to talk about there. Their sequel was announced, which I kind of think is a little weird because there were rumors that I have heard from multiple sources on Reddit, from friends, from family, saying that a sequel was in development, and I just couldn't see the point of it because they already have the esport. What would they do to change it besides add new characters and new maps? And that's exactly what Overwatch 2 is. It's just new characters, new maps. They're refreshing the art style a little bit, making it a little bit more updated. They rewrote the engine, and we're getting a new mode, PvE. They said, what's his name? Jeff Kaplan or something like that. This is the director.
Yeah, the director.
He said that they're trying to redefine what a sequel meant in the video game industry. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I think Fortnite just did the exact same thing like a week or two before this announcement, where Fortnite Chapter 2, which is a brand new map, they added a couple new weapons, and they did the same thing they do. There's a new battle pass with new characters, new skins, weapons, items, stickers, dances, all of that stuff. But they didn't market it as a sequel, but in a way, that's exactly what it is. You're getting a brand new map. They're starting the season back down to season 1, and I kind of see that this is just their version of a sequel. And maybe that's what Overwatch is trying to do too. They're just trying to revitalize the franchise by just swapping out a couple of maps and adding new characters. What do you think? Do you think that this is a redefined sequel?
No, I think it feels much more like a DLC sort of situation.
Yeah.
To me, I'll tell you why. I think because there isn't much of a change happening. Like you mentioned, it's more of it almost feels like it's just like new maps, a few new heroes, new content plan, and that sort of thing. That is, that's really mostly just sort of like DLC sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But that being said, you lose something in your marketing if you just say it's a DLC as opposed to a full-blown sequel, right?
Right.
And I think that's probably the reason that they did it like that.
Yeah.
And that's me definitely being cynical.
I would agree.
It feels very... it feels very much like they're just trying to capitalize on a 2 behind their franchise name,
right?
And getting the publicity of a new game, even though they may not even actually launch a new disc. It may just be an add-on, basically.
That's how I feel. I agree 100%. It, to me, I was watching it, and then Jeff was like, "Yeah, we're redefining the sequel," and then he went into it, and at the end, I was like, "That's not a sequel. That's called DLC." Like, yeah, it's just paid DLC. I mean, I do appreciate, though. They do have this thing in place that he said that no player will be left behind, which means, all of your progress will port over. If you don't even buy 2, you can still play all the new maps with all the new heroes, so you're not going to be left behind. So essentially, it's, hey, if you want to play PvE, then buy this new game. Which, okay, like, and then that raises a question. Well, how much are you going to charge for the sequel? Because right now you can buy Overwatch for $30. So why would I want to spend $60 just to have an extra mode? So
yeah.
What
do you think about the PvE? What does that do for you as a Overwatch player?
I don't even know what that is. What is that? Player versus
environment.
Versus environment. I don't even know what that is.
Well, I mean, they sort of described it, right? They said that you're going to be playing in a mode where you're fighting essentially against computer bots.
Oh.
And it's going to be more like lore focused, right? It's going to have more of the story of the characters that you know and love. It's going to be more about like their interactions and what they're all about.
Right. I guess it's cool. Again, I guess it just depends on how much they would charge. If it came out and it was $30, yeah, I might buy it. I love the Overwatch lore, and whenever they come out with a new animated short and they put it on their YouTube channel, I always get a kick out of them because I think they're really good in terms of quality. So I would love to learn more about the lore, but again, if it's going to be like a premium price tag, then it would turn me off pretty quick. So
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been really engaged in Overwatch in some time, so
yeah. But also, there's the whole Hong Kong ordeal. That Blizzard, they just had the Hearthstone Championship. They took away the winnings from the winner because he mentioned something about freeing Hong Kong, and Blizzard stripped him of his winnings and fired the commentators and banned this player for a year. Since then, they've apologized, gave the player his winnings back, and reduced his suspension to 6 months or something like that.
No.
But it makes me not want to buy Overwatch 2. Like, I probably would have been all about this, 2 months ago if they didn't do this. But I've been boycotting them because it's just tragic when you see what's going on in Hong Kong, and they've been protesting for 3 or 4 months now, and it just kind of shows that Hong Kong has muscle outside of their own country, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a little scary. So I don't know. I've been kind of boycotting them a little bit. I got heavily into Overwatch again this summer, and then when that happened, I just kind of stopped playing it. So the whole sequel thing, it kind of gets me a little excited, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't, I guess it's not very professional what they did, and they acted very quick, and it was ugly situation.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not what you want to see from your, game publishers.
Yeah.
But tomorrow is Inside Xbox, and it looks like they'll be announcing 12 new Xbox games, as well as a bunch of new games for Game Pass, which is a big thing they've been pushing for a while. They've been working towards putting a lot more emphasis into PC, so there's going to be a lot of that happening. And I don't know, I would kind of hope that they have some cool new IPs that they can talk about. Maybe a little mention of some Halo. I know that it's been since E3 that they've really ever talked about that, but I don't know. Xbox, I think Scarlet is interesting, but I haven't really been that engaged with what they've been doing recently.
Are you excited about Scarlet? Or are you going to buy it? Do you think that from what you've heard so far is enticing enough to purchase the console?
Well, I don't know that much about it right now. It just sounds like... it sounds like any other console box. It's going to be extra powerful and therefore probably extra expensive when it's released. But I think that if that kind of stuff is getting being put out on the market, then it's going to become, part of PC builds pretty quickly, and Scarlet or PlayStation 5 for that matter will be outdated pretty quick, I would guess. And with Microsoft pushing a lot more into their PC side of things, for me, I feel like I would rather play a lot of these games on PC if I have the possibility to do so.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm moving kind of away from the console experience and towards the PC experience, but that may change depending on what Scarlet has to offer.
I've heard the same thing from multiple friends. I've heard a lot of people are leaning towards more PC gaming, and you and I, we both I've always played on consoles, and we both have friends who play both on PC and console, and some who just play strictly on PC, always have, always will. But I've been hearing that a lot more, that a lot of people they're kind of moving in that direction of, I'm just going to play on PC, because the funny thing is, looking at the technology that we've heard so far about Scarlet and even PlayStation 5, it sounds like they're going to be pretty expensive. Like, you could buy a PC for that price. And the cool thing is if you buy a gaming PC, if you build one, it's all modular. You can always upgrade your graphics card or your hard drive or any part of it. And so it's cheaper to just upgrade it rather than, every 5 years dropping $600, $700 on a new console that's the same console before, just better, faster and better. So it's like, why wouldn't I just spend a little bit more on a gaming PC now and then pay in 6 years for a better graphics card for only a couple $100?
You've mentioned this problem before several times, especially with regards to Nintendo. You have to rebuy games a lot when you, like I said, especially with Nintendo. But even for me, the prospect of upgrading a console means that I've got 5 or 6 years of game library that is essentially going to go to nothing when the new console comes out. PC just gives me more flexibility. Games will still get outdated, but it will definitely give me more flexibility with game library size as well as game library longevity.
That's
and I like that. The older I get, the more I like that, for sure. And I've actually gone back and bought a lot of my old favorite PC games on my PC recently. Just Age of Empires is $7. Yes, I will buy it. And they're an HD or a remaster or something like that. So technically, I am still rebuying the game. But in theory, if I, have added that game to my library, then going forward, I don't ever have to rebuy it again.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that idea a lot better than, buying a game on Xbox 360 and then having to, buy the Master Chief Collection to play it on Xbox One 5 years later.
Yeah. No, it's funny that you say that, because that's one of the pros that I see Stadia playing, is because the game is just installed and stored on their server, and it doesn't take up any of your gaming space. Obviously, you don't have to have the game installed. If you have a client like Steam, you can always just download it and install it. But I like that idea, because if I have Stadia now, in 10 years, all of the games that I bought are still there. I never had to upgrade a console or anything. It's just it. And I like that idea. And with PC, it's the same thing. I'm doing the same thing as well. I rebought Roller Coaster Tycoon, and that was always one of my favorite games growing up, because it's fun, it's creative, it's addictive. Who doesn't like building a roller coaster that will kill thousands of people? So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah, I do see that some consoles are trying to. I think that they see that. Nintendo recently came out with a new upgrade to their online subscription pass. So now, if you have it, you get all of these Super Nintendo and NES games to play. And I think that that's kind of a good way to do that, because I bought Link's Awakening like 2 or 3 times from the Wii U. Yeah, Wii and the Wii U, so twice I bought it. But now it's just part of my online subscription. It's stupid that I have to pay an online subscription to play the game, but I mean, Nintendo's online subscription's only $20 a year, so I'm actually getting stuff out of it on top of it. So I see that consoles are seeing this as a threat, and I think that they're trying to change it. And a lot of PlayStation and Xbox, they keep reiterating that their next-gen console is going to be completely backwards compatible. You'll be able to put in any of the games from any of the other consoles and play them, which is always enticing. But, I mean, you've got a disc from Xbox 360. I mean, what are the chances it's going to read? How many scratches and chips does it have? CDs don't really last long. I really wish that they would just index on your account. Oh, you bought this, cool. Well, you can download it in the future.
That's interesting. It's definitely an interesting time to see what's going on with video games and be involved in the process.
Yeah. Well, this is something I
just... Good games coming out?
Yeah, I just read that Breath of the Wild sequel, the release date is actually next year, which is
quick.
It's pretty quick, but if you think about it, Breath of the Wild's coming up on 3 years, which is kind of crazy that 3 years have gone by since the release of the Switch and the release of Breath of the Wild. But rumor is that we have a 2020 release date, and if that's true, my bet would be that it comes out holiday 2020, so still another year out. But I actually saw a rumor a couple weeks ago that said Nintendo is planning on releasing a pro version of the Switch, which will support 4K and faster, all that crap. Much like a PlayStation Pro or an Xbox One X, just the big, beefy, serious gamer version of the Switch, and that they were going to release that at the same time as the sequel to Breath of the Wild to kind of help boost those sales. But then I heard that, a couple days ago, that Zelda 2 is actually released for next year, not 2021. So it'll be interesting if the Pro Switch is actually something that is a reality, if that's still in development, if that's going to be released in 2020, or if the rumor for 2021 is more realistic. But I'm kind of excited because we had that very short trailer at E3 And it looks like it's going to be that Majora Mask type game where it's a direct sequel, but it takes a much darker turn. And we haven't had a dark Zelda game in a very long time. So I'm kind of excited to see how that's going to turn out. And I do hope it's a 2020 release. I hope it's a January 1, 2020 release.
Would wish that.
Would wish that. Yeah, other than that, I don't know of any other games. Pokemon we talked about, it's right around the corner, and I think that's the next biggest one on Nintendo. I can't think of anything for PlayStation. Xbox, we've got the big launch tomorrow. We're going to hear hopefully some new IP and some new exclusives. Probably some information on Halo.
Said that they're announcing 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're also going to be announcing, I think, like 24 new, like not new games, but 24 games that they're adding to Game Pass.
Dang, dude. I like the idea of
so
Game
there
Pass.
should be some tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the new Halo so far? Are you excited about it?
I think it's too early to tell right now.
Yeah. I've heard some controversy.
Really enough information for me to make up my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. There's been very little news on that. All right. Well, Sonic.
Looks good.
It looks surprisingly good. You know, they had that crappy, scary, freakazoid looking Sonic a couple months ago. They went back and they said that we're going to redo it because the fans are pissed about it. And then we get the trailer yesterday, and it looks really good. I mean, Sonic looks really good. Like they really went back and changed it. Have you heard the conspiracy theories? A lot of people are saying that they intentionally made that terrible trailer with that awful Sonic. That the regular trailer that we saw, that Sonic was there the whole time, and that it was all a PR stunt just to like drum up some, I guess, excitement in the industry about it. I don't know.
I don't say no to anything anymore. Maybe.
Maybe, dude. There's got to be conspiracies with Sonic. Oh man. Regardless, I want to go see the movie because let's just say that there is no conspiracy and then that this is 100% true what they did. I think that's something to support because I think other studios would follow in their footsteps. Like, hey, people hated this trailer. How about we take, half a year and fix it and eat the costs so that fans are pleased with it. I think that's awesome that they stood up and the studio even allowed that. And I think that's something to support. The movie might be complete garbage. So, but I think that's something that other studios should see. Hey, it worked for Sonic. Maybe we'll do the same thing where we correct our movie so that fans will actually go see it and like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's something. I think that's a good move if you can do it. If you've got the money and the time to something. I don't. You always say, "Hey, we're just." If someone complains, we're going to change everything. But in this case, I think they did a good thing.
Yeah, me too. It looks way better. Even the trailer seemed way better. The pacing, Sonic's personality seemed a little bit more alive. It just all looked better. So good for them.
Very good for them.
Very good. Well, the last thing we got is Epic acquired Quixel, I think is how you say it. The largest bank of photogrammetry data. Did I say that right? Photogrammetry.
That's the dictionary, not me.
Yep. Let's see here. Going to Google, pronounce it.
Photogrammetry.
Photogrammetry. There we go. Cool.
This has been sort of a thing since I think 2015 with the first Star Wars Battlefront. They made a big deal about using this sort of photographic technology to scan real environments and then reproduce them in the game to make much more high fidelity game models for especially the world.
Right.
And since then, a lot of games have been jumping on this sort of high resolution, high quality world scans based on real world geometry. So the fact that Epic has bought this is cool, because my understanding is that they are offering this library to their developers and to anybody who wants to use the Unreal Engine. This is a set of libraries that they're going to have access to develop with their Unreal Engine 4. So
interesting.
If it's accessible to, game devs, AAA down to, the one guy in his garage, right, then I feel like that is a really big step to, giving them that they can use to build into their projects.
Yeah,
I think getting art and assets and things into your game can be a big drain on resources and can be hard for some devs to get. You know what I mean? And then they kind of have to settle for less than stellar stuff, and that affects the overall reception and quality of a game release, I think.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely.
It's cool that they're providing this for their people.
Yeah. It sounds like that Unreal or Epic is trying to become the standard game dev kit. Yeah, they're trying to beat out Unity and all the other players in the field. This gives a huge advantage, just like you said, to game studios large and small. So that's pretty interesting. I've never heard of this company, Quixel. That's pretty cool. I'm looking at some of these pictures and they look pretty cool. Man, I really want to make a video game super duper bad. But the only thing is I can't do art worth a turd, so I don't. But now
that's your dream, is to make a game.
Yep. A game about beating up fast food drive-through teenagers. Yeah.
That sounds like it's gonna be good.
So, what games have you been playing lately, man?
Not like a ton of games. I've been playing Blasphemous on my PC.
Ooh, you like?
That's been fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
I really like it.
But I like it.
That's sweet. Is it fun? Or is it... Because I'm looking at it and I really like the sprite imagery in the game. But I'm curious, is it a fun game or is it more like, oh, this is pretty cool?
I think that would have to be up to your discretion. I've been enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to play that one. That one's on my wish list. It looks pretty cool. That's sweet. What else?
That's pretty much it. It's been busy around here.
Yeah. Dude, I've been playing all sorts of crap lately. I just got Luigis Mansion 3, and ever since the Switch came out, I have been dying. Not even the Switch, even before the Switch, I had been dying to get a Luigi's Mansion game because it came out on the GameCube. It was the first in the franchise. It was incredible. Easily one of the best games on GameCube because Nintendo just took this whole idea and just switched it, and it was just every corner there was a surprise, and it felt good. It was one of those games where when you're doing something, it just felt good. Every time you suck up a ghost, it just felt so satisfying, and every corner there's a secret. There's always something to find. Always a really good feeling to capture tens of thousands of dollars in the game. You just feel like such a boss. And I've been waiting for a sequel on the console for such a long time. There was one that they released on the 3DS a couple of years ago, and they kind of strayed from the formula from the first Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube. It was still fun, but it was a little bit different. And I had been hoping to get a Luigi's Mansion game on any Nintendo console since then. And I was surprised because everybody I knew that played the game said the exact same thing, that it was one of the best games on the GameCube. And it beats out like almost all of the Mario games. It's so good. And Nintendo do this thing where they get a really good game and then they don't touch it forever. And you're like, dude, you have like a perfect franchise. Why don't you tap into that potential? And finally, here we are, like, I don't know, 20 years later, they finally released the third Luigi's Mansion game for the Switch, and it was incredible. And I will recommend this game to anybody because they brought back the same feeling. Every time you suck up a ghost, it's just so satisfying. The animation is really, it's just alive. It's charismatic. It's funny. Luigi really got a lot of his personality from the first Luigi's Mansion game, and that transferred into this game very well. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in it, a lot of surprises, more surprises than the first game, and it was just a lot of fun. Every time I got to a new level on the hotel floor, it just blew my mind because they took something way different, and there was just new things to do, new things to find. And the bosses were surprisingly difficult. I died several times on each boss, and that always feels good, especially when you're playing a Mario game, because usually you just jump on their head 3 times and it's just the easiest boss in the world. But these bosses in this game were really hard because you had to figure out how to beat these boss fights, and I would die 2 or 3 times before I could even figure out what I was supposed to do. So it was pretty challenging for a quote Mario game.
Interesting.
But one that I would highly recommend playing because if you like exploring, if you like finding secrets, if you like puzzles, this is a really good game because there is a lot to think about and a lot to do in this game. And surprisingly, it's a pretty long game. I just beat it, I think, last night or 2 nights ago, and I put in almost 20 hours in that game. And I assumed that it was going to be like an 8 or a 9 hour game, so I was very surprised with that.
Nice.
So I want to do a review. I've been writing one, and I plan on releasing that on the channel here, hopefully soon, because it's easily one of the best games on Switch. And I think that's kind of bold to say now that Switch has this monstrous catalog of games now. It's easily in the top 5, I think.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it's and you wouldn't think like it's a Mario game, which is targeted towards children, but a kid could play this game, but an adult could get great satisfaction out of it too, because it just, from the moment you start it, you're just like just engaged fully in this game, and it's pretty funny too. It's got a lot of humor. Played that. I started playing, and this is embarrassing, and I wouldn't ever share this with anybody, but I'm going to share it with you. I started playing Minecraft. I think I'm just...
That's that embarrassing.
I am just a third grader, because it's a game for third graders, man. That's all I'm doing. I'm playing third grader games now, Riley. I'm playing Luigi games. I'm playing Minecraft.
I think lots of adults
games.
play Minecraft.
Yeah, they do. We do. It's a pretty fun... Have you ever played Minecraft?
No.
It is not what I expected at all. Watch this video, and this guy was showing all of this crap that you can do in Minecraft. Apparently, you can like learn spells and stuff and open up a portal to some kind of like other dimension and stuff. Like there's there's like some deep content in this game, and it's really addicting. I always thought it was just like, oh, you break a block, you build a block, and thought it was kind of lame. But a friend of mine got into it, and he said it was really good, and said to get into it because then we could build stuff together. And I like those creative games, so I was like, okay, well, I'll buy it. It's only $30, and I've had a hard time putting it down. And I only put it down recently because Luigis Mansion. And now that that's done, I'm back in Minecraft and it's a cool game. I've been looking for something casual to play where you can just sit back on the couch, drink a soda, and just watch or just play this game. You know, you don't really have to think too hard or do anything. It's just fun to explore and find cool caverns and materials and fight bot enemies. It's been a lot of fun. So get that game, Riley, and let's build a world, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And then finally, I have to mention this game. Everyone's talking about, or they did talk about it back in September, but Untitled Goose Game. That game, it is a very refreshing take on games. It's a very unique game. Everyone talks about how you're just a douche. That's all you are. You're just being a douche to people, and you're stealing stuff, you're breaking stuff. But the thing that I really like about is the gameplay. You have these simple objectives, and it's a puzzle game, and it's just it's all around a good time. And I would really like to see a sequel for this game, but to have multiplayer, because I could see a lot of fun team building, team interactive strategy to accomplish certain objectives. But the gameplay is a fresh take on some stuff that we haven't really seen. I mean, stuff that we've seen but never really put together the way that Untitled Goose Game did. And it's a lot of fun. It's a short game. I think I beat it in like an hour or two, maybe 3, because I liked, just tormenting people. But
Yikes.
Yeah, it's good. Play that one.
Tormentor.
You'll love it. You'll love it. Anyways, yeah, that's
cool,
what
man.
I've been doing.
Sounds like a good collection.
Yeah, I've been busy. I'm busy playing the games.
Man.
So, well, that's about it, I guess. We talked about everything we had for this week. Anything you'd like to mention?
Nope.
Cool. Yeah, me either. I got nothing to say.
Me either. I got nothing.
Cool. Well, that's been some good times catching up on the game stuff.
Game stuff.
Yeah. So, well, thanks everybody for joining us this week. Catch us next week. We'll be coming out with some new game information in the news and talking about the stuff on the webs. And yeah, have a great week.